Cocoa Plus Ayos and Konafco are two cocoa farmers cooperatives located respectively in the regions of the center and southwest of Cameroon. In 2013, they had about 1,135 cocoa producers, of which 16% were women and 7% were youth. Given the many obstacles which women and youth face to commit to the culture of cocoa, the Cameroon Cocoa Eco Project, a Netherlands organization development project set up in partnership with IITA, introduced leadership and next generation program for cocoa producers to contribute to break the barriers against women and the youth with the strong contribution of CYMC, FONJAC, and COSACODE.
In the two project sites that are Ayos and Konye, as elsewhere in Cameroon, women are virtually excluded from the possession of land by their inheritance. They can only be usufructuary of the land they use for food crops. A woman has no control over land, so she cannot dispose of it to farm cocoa, which is a cash crop.
There are barriers. If you don't agree with him, he cannot give you land. When you get along with your husband, he can give you land for your farms.
Young women are not found in cocoa farming because our own culture this way, women hardly own farms, you see. We hardly own farms. Men here believe that, our parents here believe that only men should own farm.
When you find women in the cocoa farms, they are there just as helpers to the men and the young people. They go there as a labor force for the man to be able to achieve his objective within his cocoa farm.
You first go to a groundnut farm and you sow. In the groundnut farm, there are cassava, plantain, and cocoyams. After you harvest the groundnuts, cassava and cocoyam remain. They are cash crops.
Through the Female Leadership Program, awareness has been created at the level of the women themselves, at the level of the men, at the level of the community, at the level of the cooperatives, to where these women belong.
The capacity building component of SNV to Konafco Limited was quite a rich one. It has increased the leadership skills of the various authorities in the various organs of the cooperative. More so also the leadership skills of the women particularly, because women have been our concern in the cooperative. We want the women to take a fair share of the management responsibility of the cooperative.
We have had leadership training, which has been very good to us. It has helped us to know how to manage people, know how to manage the cooperation, and we are very, very happy. I've learned a lot to interact with people, even people with whom I meet for the first time. I've been able to share with them, whereas before I was not such a person. I used to scare away from people. I've been able to manage up time, because formerly I used to be a late comer in everywhere that I'm being needed. When they say a meeting is being called at 10 a.m., you only find me there by 12 noon.
I did not know I was losing a lot of time. I left my house in the morning without sweeping and went to the house of my neighbors. I learned that I had to make a schedule in my house, to make a program in my life, not to lose time. Visits to my neighbors could be done later. I have the courage to convene other women and train them, showing the advantage of this training. So with that, I really see that it's from God for us women of Cameroon. If every woman can really be interested, this is the reason I had to make songs to appeal to other women.
In his capacity as head of the household, it is the man who is the manager of the family heritage. So he distributes land according to his own criteria.
There are parents who are already very old, but who do not want to leave the plantation to youth, who have physical strength and even the know-how of how to run the plantations. The aged block because their command authority is attached to this plantation and it creates problems in the family. There are places where old men sell the land, and it is the land that the youth are asking for, the next generation of cocoa farms. The cocoa farmers from previous decades are cocoa farmers with gray hairs, with plantations they don't follow up and very low yield. Then there is equation. Is it with a yield of 300 to 400 kilograms per hectare that will reach the government objective of 600,000 tons? Even if we are still very far away from the objective of 600,000 tons by 2020, we cannot deny that the process is in a dynamic phase. That happens through intergenerational dialogue that will affect heads of families, their spouses, boys, girls, because the boy thinks the girl who is his sister does not have the same right on their parents' land. Meanwhile, positive law now recognizes everyone has equal benefits of parents' heritage. At first, I did everything. I gave my advices to the boys, believing it will be the boys who will inherit my properties. Now, from the advice that SNV and IITA have given us, I now train both children, boys and girls, so that in the case girls don't get married, they will stay with my wealth and will be able to maintain it properly. So, instead of giving confidence to boys alone, I now remain confident in both boys and girls. In the past, I was a bit rigid, but now the children already feels comfortable by my side. In the past, I did not want the child to be next to me because when I want to think, they start playing and it makes me feel uncomfortable. I chase them. It is therefore necessary, by organizational synergy, good moderation, and conflict management, that we get to these results. I saw that it was necessary to intensify the production because we are many. If we all count only on this farm, it will not be sufficient for us in the future. My eldest son has taken land in the village. It is still a bush. It has not been cleared. I want everybody to be independent so that when there is a small contribution from me, everyone goes into his farm to also harvest his own. I also want everyone to live well.
The combination of the leadership program and the next generation of cocoa farmers in the project permitted to reach impressive results.
Today, after the training, at the level of the cooperatives, we find out that there are more women getting involved in terms of membership into the cooperatives and youth.
With our lectures now, we have been doing a lot to sensitize even our men or men around us to understand that it is not a problem for you to surrender part of your farm to a woman, your sister or a wife, to take care so that she too can enroll as a full member into CONAFCO.
The change that the project has brought to my cooperative is, at first, there were no women in the cooperative. When the cooperative began, there were only men, no youths, and there was an age range.
Des jeunes, il y avait une tranche d'âge qui s'intéressait vraiment à la chose. Bon, après,
After the training received and restitutions made,
les restitutions faites,
women had joined the
les
cooperative.
femmes ont intégré la coopérative. Les femmes
Women continued to enroll,
et les jeunes aussi.
youths as
Et
well.
maintenant, les femmes sont en train de
Now women create their own plantations, youths too. This is thanks to this project that came to us in Ayos.
Young people are now owning cocoa farms.
J'ai eu la terre là par rapport à
I had this parcel of land thanks to my father and my mother,
cet endroit.
because my mother farmed in this place.
Ce qui m'a poussé à
What pushed me to plant cocoa is the great success of my parents. When I saw my parents with cocoa and also with money, that made me interested. Cocoa for me is a business here in the village, because with cocoa there is success.
Women are now owning cocoa farms. Some inherit it from their men, like widows. Some go into economic activities, save their money to buy their land. Some go in for rentage.
J'ai plus de 20 hectares.
I have
travaillés
over
par
20
moi-même,
hectares
casser la
cultivated
forêt.
by myself.
Là où moi je vois quelqu'un,
When I see someone selling
vend
his
le
land
terrain, il
and
me
he
propose,
proposes the land to
j'entre
me,
une fois, je
I
donne
pay
l'argent
for it and immediately invest
j'investis là, dans
in
cet
this
village.
village.
Et si
This
c'est mon
is my
village
hometown.
Moi, je suis venue en mariage ici.
I am married with a man of this village. My husband gave me the land to farm.
J'ai 4
I have
hectares
4 hectares
de
of
cacao,
cocoa
donc je
and I
continue à
continue to
mettre
plant cocoa.
mon cacao au sol.
J'ai demandé à mon grand-père.
I asked my grandfather and he gave me land.
Dans le terrain que, à partir
From here to
d'ici,
far down there, you can plant cocoa, nobody will bother you.
sans que personne ne te dérange. Et c'est
You will
là que
use
tu
the
vas
income
vivre
for your
avec
children
tes
and
enfants.
yourself.
You get a young farm. You say how old if you did? How old?
1 year.
One year. Okay.
Yes.
With your husband.
na wa own don my mother no give for a pikin.
Okay, now your husband, the farm.
Na mama na.
So you are the manager. Husband.
Buy on mama sir.
You buy on your husband.
Buy on my husband.
Buy on your husband.
My own a family farm. Then forest if it dey ahead. So cut am in mama sir.
Okay. Then now una owner.
Then na wa own na my own.
Okay. Mommy at least you buy am.
Papa, I no buy na forest. I be enter.
Okay, now village forest.
Na village forest. I walk up.
You go enter like village picking.
Yes.
We have a farm that we are taking for flesh, and we have forests that we start planting the seed.
They have bought a forest.
Yes.
My own is a small farm. My father died last January, so he said that is my own small portion.
So you have acquired it from your father.
Within the cooperatives, the women have gotten involved into the executive. They are members of the board. They are members of the different committees of the cooperatives. You have women who are storekeepers in their various sectors where in their zones. And women are inciting change within their communities by serving as a model.
Tout ce que je peux dire à plusieurs femmes de mon
All I can say to any woman in my area, the first thing is to get registered into a cooperative and to follow the women leadership training in the villages, in the neighborhoods. There are very interesting things.
I think there is a big change, because at the beginning it was me who made work programs. Initially, she was there just to assist me. She was not really involved in the work. For instance, even if I'm not there, she does the work program of the house. The farm work she does. Now, she is able to tell me, have you forgotten? this? Or don't you think it would be better if we do this? It rejoices me.
Another change we want to look at is at the level of the men, because the training did not only carry the women, the training will involve the men, because we can't leave the men behind.
Formerly, it wasn't easy for you to study every farmer his way of living and his attitude. But since we were given the leadership course, in fact, it has made us to understand every farmer's way of behavior, and you must know how to approach and talk to them. So SMV and IITA has done too much that even up to now, my farmers are able to understand themselves one by each, so that we do things in common.
We are thinking that we should go into very full-scale cassava production, which is a project that is normally more linked to women. My interest will always be that we want a greater number of women to become members of the cooperative.
There's a lot of transparency now in the management. Members can now take very good decisions. We always also realize that farmers, they used to delay in paying farmers for about 10 days. Now it is just about 4 days. So we also realize that the issue of quality has improved, because storekeepers can now receive produce from farmers without any quarreling, because SNV has supplied them with the humidity machines, which can actually show the percentage of humidity in their cocoa.
At the end of the project, the actions of the leadership and next generation of cocoa producer program has helped to bring the number of members and sympathizers of both cooperatives to more than 3,200, of which 18% are women and 9% are youth.
Associer les femmes et les jeunes à la culture.
Involving women and youth in cocoa farming help to reduce inequalities between men and women, between young boys and young girls. When young women and youth have access to land, access to training on good agricultural practices, the cooperative production increases, which allows the latter to contribute to Cameroon objectives of 600,000 tons of cocoa in 2020.
Bosoko we kangae, keke manyama masumami. Bosoko we kangae, keke mampindi masumami. Bosoko we kangae, bosoko we kangae. Bosoko we kangae, bosoko we kangae. Bosoko we kangae. Yayo. Bosoko ndoa. Oh. Yake. Oh musoko.